The next chapter is about to begin. Join us live every Tuesday and Thursday for brand new episodes of the American Contractor Show. Our mission is to bring you the latest tools, innovations, and knowledge to help you become the most informed contractor in your market. Knowledge is the ultimate power, and we are connecting you with the most knowledgeable minds in our industry. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. American Contractors, I hope you're ready. This one's for you.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I as a contractor appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor that's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
Happy Monday, everyone. Lead meteorologist John Choquette here for a daily forecast. Sponsored, as always, by C3 Group, Merlin Law Group, and Artist Settlement and Balance Claims. They're in the description below. Go check them out. Jumping right to our headlines today. Who's seeing hail along I-35, especially in Texas? Looks like some large hails possible everywhere from about the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex down around San Antonio this evening, so we're going to break that down for you guys. We have more severe weather for the southeast, very similar to what we saw last week, maybe not quite as intense. Large hail, tornadoes, strong winds, all possible later on this week. A lot of questions still up in the air, but we'll highlight the areas we're thinking right now. And as always, vote for hail trace. This is your last week to vote for hail trace for the Wind to Storm Conference, since it is next week. So make sure you come check us out. That is going to be in the New Orleans Convention Center on the 31st through the 2nd. Derek, our CEO, he is actually doing a breakout session as well. So we go in the description below to, regardless what platform you're watching us on, there is a link to go vote for us for Vendor of the Year. We'd highly appreciate that. So we're going to jump right into what's happening right now, and we zoom in here on the Southern Plains where our hail risk is for today, and you see not a great sign for if you want big-time hailstorms. You got a lot of rain, especially here in central Oklahoma, and we got some rain moving into the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex right now. See some storms trying to form up here over by the Lubbock area. This is probably where we're going to see our best chance for hail, maybe even a couple weak tornadoes across parts of the Texas Panhandle. We zoom out a little bit here, and you can see the overall temperatures across the U.S. Fairly cool, rainy 62 in Dallas, 75 down in Houston. Got a lot of deep, warm, moist air. That's going to be streaming to the north. And everywhere else across the country, pretty quiet. The majority of the rain's here in the Central Plains, and that's what's going to be driving that severe risk later on today. The moisture isn't quite there from what we normally want to see. We do want to see, dew points, especially down in the source region near Corpus Christi and Houston, to be in the 60s. And that's why we have a little bit lower end threat today, because we're going to have those real marginal dew points, real marginal moisture, and a lot of rain in the area as well. And that's really going to kind of mitigate things a little bit. That moisture return will continue through the afternoon. By about 3 o'clock today, you can see some of those better, higher dew points, near 60 dew points trying to stream up towards the Red River by about 3 o'clock, and really try to keep going there by about 6 o'clock in the Dallas area. But you see those storms are forming, racing to the east and taking advantage of that better area of moisture, and that's going to race to the east by about midnight. So really all we're going to see those storms possible today. Here's that future radar. You can see all these storms really explode over the next couple hours here. Just to the east of Lubbock, you can see anywhere you see a little bit of pink or isolated storms, that's your best chance of seeing some hail. Everywhere from Abilene down towards up to I-40, all could possibly see hail. By about 6 o'clock this evening, you have quite the line of storms moving towards Oklahoma City, and that's really going to mitigate really any hail whatsoever. I think we're going to be pretty marginal on the hail, if at all, here in Oklahoma. Further south, where we have more isolated storms, that's more interesting. That's what we're talking about from Dallas to San Antonio. We could see some storms after about 6 o'clock. We push forward here, and right here at 7 o'clock, down towards the bottom, here's Waco, right in this area over here. That tail end Charlie, I like to call the southernmost isolated storm, that's your best chance at seeing some hail. That could be a little bit larger, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. We could see hail moving through Dallas tonight as well. Again, moving about an hour forward. At 8 o'clock, there could be some hail in here. Again, more likely further to the south. So if you're in the Metroplex, I think places like Waxahachie would have a better chance than, say, Denton for seeing some hail this afternoon to the evening hours. Up north in Oklahoma, likely we're going to see a lot of torrential rain, some thunder and lightning. Hail sizes are probably going to be sub-severe with this line of storms here. But we could, if anything forms further to south and west, could possibly see some amount of hail. If anything forms close to the low, some marginally severe hail. Pushing forward towards 11 o'clock, you saw those storms moving across the complex there, possibly with some hail. Again, I think Waco has a better chance a little bit further south. And then even if we keep pushing forward a little further south even more, it was right there. Could be an isolated storm. Down by San Antonio. This has been on and off on the models all morning. If there is something, it will be on its own. It could have that larger hail, but right now I'd say the chances are low just because it's really up to if that one storm forms or not. So what are we thinking for significant hail? Significant hail model showing anything isolated here over to the east of Lubbock. Could see some of that quarter to golf ball size hail. That includes places like Abilene. I saw some questions about that. Could get close to that 2-inch hail. Again, if storm mode is nice to us, if we can actually see some isolated storms that can make and sustain some hail, then yeah, we could see some bigger hail. But if it's just a line of storms, it doesn't matter what the model's showing, it'll likely be pretty insignificant. And then pushing forward to about midnight there, hail size is going to be fairly low, and the main area of storms will move past Dallas by then anyway. So what's the biggest possible hail report we could see today? I'm thinking 2 inches would be the biggest hail report anywhere in the risk area this afternoon, but I think that's few and far between. More likely, say for the Dallas area, between about 6 and 9 p.m. is your best chance for storms. If anything happens that has hail, it could have up to golf ball size, and I'm really leaning towards the southern end of the Metroplex, like south of I-20. If anything does happen, that would be maximum golf ball size hail. That might be slightly biased. We have a bet going on in the office for our first golf ball report in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and my day's tomorrow, so kind of rooting for it a little bit here. But overall, low chance of hail quarter and golf ball size hail combined. Could chances, but crazier things have happened here across Dallas. Overall hail forecast across the entire region. You can see anywhere here in the orange could have up to that golf ball size hail. Oklahoma City, low chance of some quarters, only if we see some storms form around the center of this low pressure that could racing through overnight. Abilene, I got you at a moderate chance of up to some golf balls. Same for Waco, where I got you a little bigger. I think you're the best chance where that tail end Charlie I mentioned, you see at the very end of the line of storms, that's your best chance for hail. It's been pretty consistent around the Waco area. So both Abilene and Waco, best chances with that moderate chance upwards, a golf ball, maybe even an isolated 2-inch stone. Low chance for Dallas-Fort Worth, but I do highlight in there that golf ball potential for about Fort Worth point south. And a little further south here, low chance of San Antonio. If something does form out to the west of San Antonio and is an isolated supercell, it could be pretty nasty. It's just a matter of whether or not it actually occurs. Question about Lawton. Yes, Lawton is kind of in the same boat as everywhere else in Oklahoma. You're going to have line of storms moving through. If you can get some hail, if it's kind of broken by the time it gets to Oklahoma, which I think is kind of unlikely, by about 5 p.m., could see that some of that hail. I have golf ball potential a little further north towards Lawton. However, it's really looking more like if there's hail, it could be around quarters, but I think a lot of rain and thunder and lightning and some gusty winds as well. With that wind and tornado forecast anywhere in the risk area today could have upwards of 65 mile per hour wind gusts. I think especially in Oklahoma, where could have a pretty raging squall line, and further to the south here, that tornado potential is there, but very low, especially across the I-35 corridor here in Texas. I think low-end chance for tornadoes. I think the hail, heavy rain, and strong winds is a much higher chance for severe weather. Looking ahead to tomorrow, everything pushes off to the east. Could see a lot of activity, a lot of rain, especially in portions of Louisiana into Mississippi. But any isolated storms in here, this is about 12:30 tomorrow, could see that hail quarter to $1/2 size in diameter, pushing through the remainder of Louisiana and into Mississippi. A ton of rain could really mitigate hail sizes, much like we had today. And as we push off to the east, the threat will wind down probably not too long after dinner time. Tomorrow, by 11 o'clock, we have a ton of rain right along the Gulf Coast here. Pretty much no hail threat with that once we get into the late evenings. So with that, you're seeing that hail forecast on your Tuesday. Quarter to $1/2 size hail is possible everywhere from Jackson, Mississippi down to New Orleans and further west towards probably about Beaumont, Texas. Again, anything that can be isolated and keep itself going for more than like 10 minutes could drop some quarter size hail, but with the potential for a ton of rain, that can really keep the hail sizes much lower. So looking at that jet stream here, this is going beyond just today and tomorrow. This is the system impacting us right now. That's going to push off to the north into the Great Lakes region by the end of tomorrow. Get out of the way, and we have the next system here, and this could be very impactful for the southeast going to the second half of the week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and get a lot of good moisture return, and the system's taking the ideal track to really see that potential for some strong winds, hail, tornadoes, all that good stuff for the second half of the week for a much more significant looking severe weather event than what we're seeing today and tomorrow. Forecasted dew points, you can see that moisture return is going to be much more significant once we get to Wednesday at about noon. We're going to zoom in here and you can see, look at that. That's like dew points near 70 degrees. That's a lot more energy to work with for Thursday and into Friday going forward here. So we'll see. Possibly some tornadoes, and some hail, strong winds for the southeast. So our look ahead forecast map, a lot of questions still up in the air about storm mode and all that, but looking at Wednesday from about just to the east of Houston, most of Louisiana and parts of the southern half of Mississippi. Pushing forward to Thursday, that is where I think we'll probably see our best chance for more significant severe weather. We're watching this pretty closely. This is all Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, parts of eastern Texas, kind of similar to last week. We'll see how it plays out. Last week could have been a lot worse than it was, and now we have apparently a second chance at it. And then Friday, everything pushes to the east. A lot of questions for Friday based on what happens on Thursday. We could see some storms in the Carolinas, Georgia, down towards the Panhandle of Florida. So we'll keep an eye on that for you guys. And of course, if anything is going to go down today, we'll be here to do live coverage. So follow us on all our social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We do live coverage with anything that could possibly happen. I think if there's anything, it'd be near Waco or maybe even the south side of the Dallas area, or San Antonio could surprise us later on. So keep an eye on those alerts, especially if you have a Hail Trace app. We do push out alerts every time we go live. And of course, you can give us a call at 855-334-4245. Any comments, questions, or concerns, and you set up a training. You gotta get yourself ready for that 2021 hail season. And of course, email us at info@hailtrace.com and visit our website for more details. I see some questions coming up in the chat here. I'll try to answer them after the fact. Basically, overall for Texas, your best chance of hail is probably places like Abilene, Waco, maybe even San Antonio or south of I-20 in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So stay tuned with us. We'll try to keep you guys updated. I'll answer any questions probably within the chat if you're not watching this live. Have a good day, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.